Hey, thanks for clicking on the video, and also thank you to War Thunder for sponsoring today's video. More on that in just a moment. Today we're taking a look at one of my coolest builds yet. This build takes a recently buffed exotic and pairs it with some weapons to turn our gameplay into something never before seen inside of Destiny. Like, the closest description I can think of is the Flash, if he was blue, I guess. Regardless, this build is all about teleporting around the battlefield, buffing up our weapons, debuffing enemies, and with proper setup, clearing rooms without even shooting. Just dashing past enemies. But before diving into the details, as usual, there are timestamps and a dim link down below for your convenience. And while down there, you'll notice a link taking you to the sponsor of today's video, War Thunder, the most comprehensive and detailed vehicle combat game ever made. One that is available right now for free on PC, consoles, and even mobile devices. In War Thunder, you can use, command, and of course destroy over 2,500 tanks, planes, helicopters, and ships hailing from 10 major nations, ranging from century-old biplanes and tin cans to the fighter jets and main battle tanks of today. A genuine favorite aspect of mine is how War Thunder immerses you in intense combat, where incredibly detailed vehicles, realistic graphics, and authentic sound effects place us in the driver's seat of the most powerful war machines ever. But it's more than that. The gameplay is detailed too. These aren't simple boxes with health. War Thunder has one of, if not the most, sophisticated vehicle damage models in gaming. Because every vehicle is intricately modeled down to their individual components, things like engines, fuel tanks, weapons, and crew, all of which are susceptible to damage or disabling from enemy fire, strategies evolve around that. And when different types of armor, shells, and missiles behave like their real-world counterparts, the immersion isn't just for show. But just talking about it doesn't do it justice. So join a worldwide community of over 95 million players in epic PvP battles today, and delve into the breathtaking experience that is War Thunder. With the insane amount of high quality content there is to discover, there's just no game better suited for fans of military history. But you know what the best part about playing War Thunder is? It's free, and it's everywhere. You can play on PC, Xbox, PlayStation, and mobile, and to make it easy, there are links to sign up in the description and pinned comment. If you're interested as a new PC/console player, or perhaps a veteran who's been away for longer than 6 months, then through my links you'll have access to a pretty huge bonus pack. This bonus includes multiple premium vehicles, the exclusive vehicle decorator cosmetic, the Eagle of Valor, a cool 100,000 silver lions, and 7 days of premium for your account. You get all this for completely free, but do note that it is a limited time offer. That means this is not permanent, and if you don't want to miss out, I'd get to signing up as soon as possible. With that, thank you again, War Thunder, for sponsoring today's video. Now, actually getting into the build, we're going to start with our exotic armor piece, which is Mask of Bacchus. This exotic perk reads, while you have a stasis super equipped, your dodge becomes a longer range, faster moving shift that partially cloaks you during use. After shifting, your stasis and arc weapons gain a stacking damage bonus for a short time. Final blows with this bonus active refund class ability energy. Now in game, we can show this off pretty easily, where if we take a look at our dodge, it is overwritten to always look like this as long as we have a stasis or arc super equipped. Bungie has admitted to leaving the arc part out. As for what our new dodge does, when we use it, we of course blink forward, just like the description stated, and we are intangible during that time. Also, the dodge that it looks like it overwrites activates too, so we can see us getting our melee back here. But after blinking, you'll notice a couple things. First is that we have the light shift buff on our screen that lasts for 10 seconds. This buff at ×1, which is what we're seeing, offers a 10% damage bonus to arc or stasis weapons, or load of wolves, more on that in a second. The other thing you'll notice is that our dodge is not regenerating. Now these two things work hand in hand. When light shift is active, any kill we get will refund a massive chunk of our dodge. At 57 class, this is 50%. So 2 kills later, we can blink again, and what you'll see is that this increases our light shift buff to ×2. Now we need to repeat the process, but at ×2, our aforementioned weapons now get plus 20% damage. Then the sequence repeats again. 2 more foes later, we can blink once more to get light shift ×3, which offers the highest damage increase of plus 30%. From this point on, we can use more dodges to refresh our timer, but we aren't going to exceed that ×3 cap. Now that's about all there is to know about our exotic armor piece, but now we need to choose the best exotic weapons to pair with it. Of course, I did mention Lord of Wolves, which is an incredibly strong option and uniquely benefits with Mask of Bacchus despite not being arc or solar. I actually made a video predicting this build before Edge of Fate launched. The other thing that I've seen a lot of people running is Graviton Spike, the arc and stasis hand cannon. But the exotic that we are going to focus on today is Ergo Sum. Now, a big disclaimer is that as you watch this video, if you don't have the Ergo Sum you need, as it is a fairly rare exotic that is random rolled, you can replace it with either the 2 exotics I just mentioned or a completely different one. This build can easily be altered to fit your needs, and our chosen abilities, fragments, armor mods, these will all work regardless of which exotic you use. But taking a look at Ergo, the one that we use for this build is Arc Conductor. This perk reads, powered heavy attacks charge the wielder, enabling them to resist arc damage and chain lightning to nearby targets. In game, this is super simple to see, as after we heavy attack, we get this arc bubble around us that will then shock anything we run near. The damage that the chain lightning deals is pretty high, so it can easily score kills on red bars even in high-end content. Now, this electric bubble of death is what's going to allow us to teleport around the battlefield and constantly refund our dodge without even shooting anything. There's actually a lot more to this sword that makes it a very potent option to run. The first thing we can see is the second exotic intrinsic that reads, this weapon collect plus ammo, final blows with this weapon accelerate light and darkness mastery. Deals increased damage while transcendent, defeating targets lengthens transcendence. And we can see this in game. Kills with this weapon give both light and dark energy, regardless of the actual sword's damage type. As for the damage increases, at base, a sword swing does 488 damage, and then after we go transcendent, our sword swing goes up to 738, a nice 44% damage buff. And for the transcendence extension, it works like normal, where kills make it last longer. You can't really tell by how much more. But then the last thing to look at for Ergo Sum is its catalyst, which is incredibly powerful. This reads, dealing damage with a transcendent grenade grants Ergo Sum ammo. And in game, we can see that as after throwing our transcendent grenade, we get a ton of ammo back. With one transcendence pop, you can easily refill your entire reserves, allowing you to bypass any special ammo restrictions that you might have. Now, I briefly mentioned it, this sword and its autonomous attacking is what's going to allow us to teleport around the battlefield as a moving ball of death, especially because both Transcendence and Bacchus increase our chain lightning's damage. This goes from 307 at base to 515 at max, giving us a 67% damage increase. And of course, our base sword swing gets even more, going from 488 at base to 982, for a total 101% increase in damage when fully stacked up. This all ends up making us a very lethal killing machine while not even actively attacking things. But now moving on from our weapons, we have our subclass. Within, we have a good amount of necessary abilities and stuff. First up is our super. You want to run Silence and Squall, as we need a stasis or arc super, and this is our best option of the two. For our class ability, we'll be running Gambler's Dodge for max uptime on our melee ability. As for that, we'll be using Threaded Spike. This melee does very good damage, and when thrown into a group of adds, massively generates Dark Transcendence energy, which is super important for this build. And for the grenade, I run Grapple for even more dark energy, its massive damage output, and for how fun it is. Then on to our aspects. The first option is Winter's Shroud. This aspect causes our dodge to slow nearby enemies while also making our dodge come back faster when doing so. In game, this still works with Bacchus, as we can see the slowing pulse come out while we shift. But now we get to add in a secret mechanic that very few people seem to know about. When Bacchus is active, arc and stasis weapons deal plus 10% damage to slowed enemies. And this stacks with everything we went over a minute ago. This takes our max damage for the chain lightning to 567, being a total plus 85% increase, and it takes a regular sword swing to 1080, being a plus 120% increase over base. Winter Shroud and slowing weapons make this build even more lethal. And then we can immediately see our second aspect at work. This is the ever popular Stylish Executioner. This aspect makes us invisible when killing any debuffed enemy. And yeah, in game, we can see that pretty clearly as our dodge debuffs and then our chain lightning cleans them up, making us invis. And while we run around, the chain lightning deals damage, but still keeps us in stealth, which is pretty neat. Now on from our aspects, we have the Fragments. In this build, we run Faster Protection for its free DR when near 3 enemies. We run Facet of Dawn, so we become radiant when dealing damage with our Threaded Spike. This is great for dealing with barrier champs. We run Purpose to give us some DR in the form of Frost Armor when picking up orbs. DR is very nice to have since this is a melee range build. Then our last fragment is Blessing, so we begin regening health when getting kills with Threaded Spike. Threaded Spike kills also make us invis, allowing us to actually regen all that health. But now moving out of our subclass, we briefly need to mention weapons. Of course, you can base this build still on Lord of Wolves, Graviton Spike, or any other Arc/Stasis exotic or legendary, but regardless of your choice, within the kinetic slot, try to use a stasis weapon. This will allow you to continue to make use of Bacchus's light shift and increase damage. For me, I ran Tenacious Mastery, which felt the best. It could stun overloads and unstops, it can slow for increased dodge regen, and it's a good source of dark energy if we need it. If you're apprehensive about using double special, I would still try to stick with stasis using something like the comp hand cannon or the raid auto rifle. But once you pick up this build and see how easy it is to get infinite sword ammo, double special isn't an issue. As for the heavy, if you're not on an eager edge sword, run something like a rocket or linear to take care of ranged enemies. Again, a rocket sidearm and a sword don't have the best long distance DPS. Although where boss damage is considered, the sword can put out if necessary. Moving on, we now have our armor and stats. For those, there are a couple musts. First is a minimum of 57 class stat. This ensures we get our full dodge in 2 kills for Bacchus. And yes, I tested it down to the single number. The next thing that you need to focus is weapons above 100. This allows us to have a chance at bigger ammo bricks, which helps a lot when running double special. After that, try to have even distribution between melee and grenade, and don't forget to invest a bit into the health stat. For our mods, on the helmet, run an arc siphon. This will activate off of the chain lightning, and then 2 special ammo finders if you can. On our arms, use a heavy-handed to make orbs from grapple and threaded spike, and then 2 impact inductions to reduce grenade cooldown with melee damage. On the chest, run 2 resists and an arc ammo generation mod. On the legs, run a better already for some health regen on orb pickup, and an absolution to give a bit of all of our abilities on orb pickup too. And then an arc scav to get a bit more sword ammo. And then on the class item, a special finisher for ammo on demand, a powerful attraction to suck up orbs when dodging, and a reaper to make extra orbs right after a dodge. And then just before we dive into the gameplay loop, we should touch on the artifact. Within, there isn't a whole lot that interfaces with us, mainly just Frost Renewal to freeze things if we ever go critical while we have Frost Armor, Fever and Chill as an extra means to get Frost Armor outside of picking up orbs, then Shield Crush so our melees do a bit more damage when we do have Frost Armor active, and then Tangled Web so when we spawn a Tangle from a Threaded Spike or Grapple kill, it suspends things around it. But then for the gameplay loop, it's very unique. When I first engage some enemies, I try to use my dark abilities first, Grapple and Threaded Spike, to generate as much dark energy as possible. Once I've used those, I'll dodge to begin the Bacchus loop and get Light Shift going. At this point, we will then heavy attack with Ergo Sum and start teleporting around. Things will be getting slowed and shocked, and every 2 kills is another teleport. While you're tearing it up, you'll be spawning and picking up orbs automatically, keeping abilities and your health bar up. We'll also instantly be at max light shift stacks and only need to be worried about re-upping our arc conductor bubble. Remember to use the sword as an actual sword if necessary. It does do pretty great damage. Now, for as long as you can chain Bacchus, keep doing so. Do be conscious of your Transcendence meters though, as you want to become Transcendent as soon as possible. So if you're low on dark meter, swap off the sword for a sec and use your grapple, threaded spike, or just your stasis weapon. Ideally, just as you're running out of ammo in the sword, you can pop Transcendence and begin chucking grenades to basically have infinite ammo. We're also a lot more lethal and tanky while Transcendent, making it that much more desirable. After you've been Transcendent and completed the loop, you'll likely have your super, which can be used essentially as a guarantee fill for your dark meter, or as boss damage, sometimes both. If you do ever really run out of ammo, like a 0-0, special finishers are your friend, and if you have really poor economy, your abilities give you dark, and your heavy can be used to support the light side. Because once you're Transcendent again, ammo issues completely just fade away. This build is genuinely so cool. You can just TP around killing things just by running by them, and when you do get to see some higher health enemies, the actual combat of focusing one enemy as everything dies around you is just so satisfying. I've been using this to farm solo and pinnacle ops, and if you just want to try something fun and potent, there's nothing else like this right now. Before we end it though, one more huge thank you to War Thunder for sponsoring this video. Remember that you can play it for free on PC, Xbox, PlayStation, and mobile devices, best signed up through my links in the pinned comment and video description. And another reminder for my new players and those that have been absent for longer than 6 months on console and PC, you can get access to the time-limited bonus pack right now that includes a bunch of premium vehicles, exclusive cosmetics, 100,000 silver lions, and 7 days of premium for your account. And with that, thank you for getting this far into the video. Remember, there is a dim link down below just for you. Now, if you want to support me and support the channel, a like, a comment, a subscription goes a very long way. If you want to support me and support the channel but you can't think of a comment down below, death ball. And with that, as usual, I hope you are having a great day, and I hope to see you around.